Hey, welcome to OnPoint live stream. I'm Vince Ferragamo, former Los Angeles Rams quarterback, alongside my good friend and former teammate, 20-year Los Angeles Ram legend and Hall of Famer Jackie Slater. And Jackie, we just got through week 12 and we had a great weekend. It was a Thanksgiving weekend. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, Thanksgiving, man. I had food and don't even make me think about it. We went back to Micah Woodrow.
And you never seen
Oh my goodness. And he got the fattest jaws, the cutest kid.
He looked like Matthew or David.
He looked like his dad.
Oh, he does. Okay. All right, good.
But it was so cool to get back there. It was cold, but not as cold as it normally is back there. But it was just a fantastic time.
Jody had her meal here at the house. He had family over again, Vanessa and the kids and Kara and Miss Jenna. She was up in Oregon, but she did the spread. Jackie, you've been here many years for Thanksgiving,
oh, my
and
goodness.
we had the turkey. We
had
pasta though.
You probably had a lot more leftovers this time.
How did you know?
Because I wasn't here.
Man, we all these leftovers. We could actually continue eating this turkey for weeks to come. I mean, but it was really good, Jackie. And obviously, the Italian heritage is you have to have pasta with your meal. And you know who made it? Vanessa made great pasta.
This is
7 types of cheeses.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my goodness! It was really good too. So
I'm
we had
sure
a great.
I'm sure.
And then the pumpkin pie and the
all of that
pecan. Oh man, it was good. But anyway,
we're really blessed. We're really blessed.
We are, Jackie.
No
Our families are great. And, looking back at these games, Jackie, Thanksgiving Day had a lineup of games. The first game was the Bills played the Lions. And I was impressed by the Lions because they weren't coming off a 3-game win streak.
They were coming off a 3-game win streak, Vince, and that coach has their defense playing revved up football right now. They really play well at the line of scrimmage, and the backers, the secondary, they were hitting people, flying around the field. That was not the primary reason why they lost that ball game. And I can see now that coach's personality, starting to see through with his defensive football team in particular.
Yeah, but teams always take on the personality of the coach, Jackie, and that's for sure. He was a tough tight end when he played in the NFL, and Campbell's done a great job turning that team around. And, they just lost a tough one in the Bills. Bills are quality team. But they came from behind and they were in it. But some people are saying, well, what's wrong with the Bills? Well, hey, there's tough teams. Each week is tough. Even if you win by 1 point, you still win the game.
Yeah. Well, they lost Von Miller too. And critical time in the game. He would have been playing some of his best football at that particular juncture that he got hurt onto the end of the game. So you never know how that affects you and I, but you never know how it affects his team because they view this guy in Buffalo like the superstar that he really is, and he's been delivering. So that was kind of a dry moment in the game where I felt they lost a little bit of momentum there.
So too.
And hopefully he's going to be all right. But you can't take anything away from Detroit. They came to compete. They played. They wanted to win the ball game. Jared Goff actually held on to the ball, made some good decisions. Yeah, I thought it was a well-played game, and they seem to be gaining some momentum as the season goes along.
Yeah, Jared Goff's not turning the ball over, Jackie. That's the reason why they're in the win column each and every week. But, yeah, the loss of Von Miller obviously is going to hurt this team. You saw what kind of quiet leader he is in the locker room, Jackie, and his threat and his pursuit to the quarterback on that one side, whatever side he lines up on, is like you got to recognize.
When I watch him rush the passer, it's like watching Eric Dickerson try to evade a backer to get out in the flat to catch a pass. This guy, he's very elusive, and he would have been a difficult block for me and some of the best ones I know because he can make you commit to certain things that aren't there. And then when you do that, boom, with his speed, he's right around the edge. He's very unique, but we don't have to say that. The numbers have borne that out.
Right.
The guy's special, been special all his career.
And then the Cowboys played the Giants. They continue to win too, Jack. They're on a 2-game win streak, but of course they've been playing great defense all year. Dak Prescott back in the lineup. Cooper Rush did a great job helping that team when he was hurt, and now this team is set. They're what, are they 8-3 now? And they beat the Giants, their rival, and
they got their quarterback back.
Yeah.
Michael Parsons, the young pass rushing. Actually, he's a phenom because he can play in box as a run defender. He can get on the edge on either side against the tackles, put heat on the quarterback. And I think he had a couple sacks again in that game. I mean,
don't you think it's the most powerful?
This Dallas football team is probably the scariest, one of the scariest teams in the NFC.
I have to agree. I think they're one of the best pass rush defenses in the NFL.
No doubt
this year,
about that.
Jack.
There's no doubt about that.
And their secondary is good.
They
too.
put pressure on offensive lines all the way across the board. You can turn your protection to what you think their top 1 or 2 rushes are, but you're gonna be leaving the backside away from the turn. You're gonna be leaving those guys one-on-one, and that's hard to do against very, very good, highly skilled pass rushers.
Well, plus they have a great tandem rushing attack, Jack. Anytime you got a rushing attack like they do, I mean, you can move the football because then passing becomes a lot easier.
And Zach Prescott is people laugh and tease him about this little thing that he does. When he's warming up. Snatches his hips. But Vince, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. And the reason why I'm so impressed with him as he does this is because I know that is a simple part of the mechanics that he feels has to be executed properly, consistently, with precision in order for him to deliver the ball down the field. And that's what you want to see. I love to see it. It took me a long time to admit that the quarterback was the most important position, and perhaps
thank you, Jack.
And perhaps the highest skills position on the football team. And once I realized that, Vince, now when I start looking at a quarterback, when I see a guy that doesn't have the discipline to do the little bitty things with consistency, then he's probably not going to be a quarterback. Not going to be a quarterback that's going to be a great quarterback and take you places. But this guy is just little bitty things, the little stair steps. He does those things. And when you think about it, Vince, it rubs off on everybody. Because I know if I were an offensive tackle thinking the way I used to do, I would say to myself, now, I need to be this foot in the ground, which I did anyway. I got to be this foot in the ground, that foot over here.
Right.
I got to be, perfect when you're blocking Howie Long or Reggie White or some of these dynamic pass rushers of our day. So hat off to him. And the offensive line is growing and doing a great job. They got that tandem of rushers, like you said, they run the football. Yeah. They're just a good football team.
Well, I have to agree.
One other thing I like about the Dallas Cowboys.
What?
Jerry Jones.
That's hard to say, by the way.
Jerry is very, very difficult. Jerry Jones is an active owner. He's in the locker room with his players. He talks to his players. One of the things I've noticed about this guy, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, I wasn't a big Jerry Jones fan when he took over the team, because remember how he kicked Landry to the curb, Landry, the great Tom Landry, to the curb and brought in his own guy, which wasn't a bad decision because Jimmy Johnson won a lot of ball games for him. But the thing that I like about Jerry is that he's present. Yes. He knows his players. He communicates with his players.
So basically what you're saying is that owner is not disconnected from his team. He's connected. Yes. And so he's involved. And that means a lot to the players. As you remember Carroll Rosenblum with the Rams, I mean, he would fly in with his helicopter and watch practice, and that got everybody juiced up. Yeah. And everybody was excited.
Remember he would get in the golf cart?
Yeah, and watch practice.
Yeah, and him and Bob Curlin, and they would ride around the field, and they would roll over to the offensive line and watch them practice.
Doesn't it make you want to play good?
Yeah, I mean, when you see your
there's an interest.
Yeah, when you see your owners and take the time to come away from his schedule and be active and watch and pay attention to who you are and what you're doing, then it gives you a little bit of momentum. Hey, I know the owner's taking a look at me.
Well, it really is. It really is something. And again, I have to reiterate what Jackie says about the protection part of the game is so important, along with the running attack, that, you rely on where you're going to be and how the pocket's going to be formed. And everybody knows exactly where to protect the quarterback. And quarterback has to be smart enough to know who's hot, who's not hot, what the blitz, what the coverages are. I mean, there's a lot involved, and more so than college football and pro football.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about that.
And then the other game, Jackie, it was your son Matthew. The Patriots were playing the Vikings in Minnesota, and you didn't go to that game because you were in New England.
Yeah, I was in New England.
But the Vikings continue to win. I mean, they have perhaps the best tandem receiving core in the NFL.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean,
this young kid, man, he was.
Justin Jefferson.
He is absolutely amazing. Big, long, striding guy that can high point the ball.
How about the catches he's making?
And he's making catches all over the field.
One-handed,
wherever the ball is within the framework of his body. Between his knees, if it's between his knees and his reach, it's his ball. And that's the way he views it. And you can tell by the way he tries to make play. But Vince, one other thing. When you look at the Minnesota Vikings, you look at their head coach, Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
And I've known Kevin O'Connell from afar since, way back in 2008, because he was a second or third round pick the same year my son Matthew was a fifth round pick for the Patriots. And the thing that this guy has consistently done is made notes. He has consistently made notes. He has consistently paid attention to details there underneath Bill Belichick and his staff for years. And then he did the same thing up here with the Rams and Sean McVay. And now he's opening up his playbook. And you look at some of the plays he's calling and some of the ways that he is attacking defenses, it's unique. And it's refreshing, to be honest with you.
Well, I tell you, Jackie, it was interesting to see the connection between both head coaches because, as a game, the mentality of what are you trying to do to out-trick your opponent? And it's tough to out-trick Belichick. And they were trying to screen, Jackie, a few times. I don't know if you saw the game, but the New England Patriots were right on top of those screens almost every time they tried to do it. But the most impressive thing to me was at the completion of the game, they both met at center field. I mean, right at the midfield, and they both hugged each other. And they stood there talking for a bit. And, Bill Belichick never does that. And he really respects, he really likes him.
He does. And he drafted the guy. Belichick don't invest a draft pick up that high in a guy unless he likes not only his ability to play the game, but he likes the way he thinks the game. Yeah. So they had that in common. And, I'm sure Bill expected to beat the guy. He's got an outstanding record of thumping first-year head coaches.
He does. And first-time quarterback, too.
First-time quarterback. That's right.
I mean, that's the mind game he plays on.
And that didn't happen in large part because Kevin O'Connell had his team prepared for the details. The details.
I tell you what, Jackie, there's a lot to talk about in the NFL, the Rams. We haven't even talked about the Rams and the Chargers. But, when we come back, we've got some callers that want to call in, and they're calling in. They have a lot to get off their chest.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, so they're going to be calling in and talk to us, and so we'll take a quick break
here. Is Dave calling in?
I think Crazy Dave will be calling in. We've got a whole lineup of callers.
What a football fan Dave is.
Oh, my goodness.
Guy watches
college, too.
He watches. This guy loves the game of football, and it's an interesting guy to talk to.
Well, we got to talk to these fans and see what they think. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to On Point Live with Vince and Jackie. And Jackie, as we're sitting here live streaming, we're looking at the soccer game World Cup. Okay, USA is playing Iran. It's 1-0 with less than 2 minutes to go in the game.
In regulation.
So if they don't do an extended time, I mean, the USA could walk away with this win.
Absolutely.
Move on.
Vince, can you imagine? The whole world is watching.
Oh my goodness!
FIFA World Cup right
World now. Cup, yeah.
The whole world. This is the most popular game in the world.
It is,
and it's the biggest time of the year for this sport.
And you look at these athletes that are all running, and they don't never stop running during the game. At least we get to play intermission.
Yeah,
or,
but
there's a time between plays.
Yeah, but when I see these guys, I think to myself, man, these guys are going to be fairly healthy when they get done. It's not like they're banging each other all the time. Man, no, they're just doing a lot of running.
They have no pads, but you know what?
Doing a lot of running, changing directions. There's a little bit of kicking. Be careful when you get in there. When you get in there and they start kicking, you know
what? It looks like USA, though, the little bit that we've seen in this game, they seem to be more on the offensive side.
Yes, I know.
They're more aggressive. They,
Yes.
Whereas Iran is just like sitting back and trying to play defense. But I mean, now you're trailing 1-0 for Iran. You really got to be more on the offensive.
You know, in big games like this, is usually one mistake. A guy slips, a guy kicks the ball, doesn't have great control.
Exactly.
And then some cat like Lionel Messi will come in there, Ronaldo will come in there and take the ball the length of the field and score.
I know. You talk about Messi. Wow. These guys are just there's so much that they can do. There's so much talent they have, you know, controlling the football with their feet.
Oh, it's amazing.
You know, I mean, they grow up. You have to grow up. It's like playing hockey, ice hockey. You have to be on the ice to be a good hockey player. You know?
Yeah. And, this is something you don't pick up when you're 20 years old.
Hey, we've been to Italy a few times, Jackie, and every time you go in the piazza, the young kids are there with the soccer ball, and they're kicking with their head, their feet. They're passing it around, and they're
controlling the ball. They're controlling the ball.
They control the ball.
They work at it. They really the good soccer players that I've always watched, that I've seen, they spend more time with that soccer ball than they ever do with other members of a team.
Oh yeah,
they got to control themselves and that ball, and the ones who have great control of themselves and that ball, those are the stars that we're
My
watching.
grandson plays a little bit, Jackie, and you know they always dribble. They call it dribbling,
yes,
you know, and you just have the ball and you hit it with your knees, your thighs. You keep the ball
away
in the air. Just keep it going
and keep it away from the other guy.
And you just learn. Hey, we've got a caller going online now. At who's calling in? Let's see. We got a caller. Is this who's calling in?
Dave.
Is this Crazy Dave?
This is Crazy Dave. How are you guys?
Hey, Dave. How are you?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, Dave. We can hear you perfectly.
Where are you?
All right, I'm in the middle of a parking lot watching this barn burner of a soccer tournament.
We were just commenting on it, Dave. It's over regulation now. There's 91 minutes already expired.
Yeah, they got 9 minutes. Like nobody ever goes 9 minutes, but they're going 9 minutes.
Wow. That's a long overtime.
But that's soccer. That's not the real football. We need to talk about the real football.
Dave,
what's your complaints?
Dave, let me say this before you get started. I'm sitting here and I'm talking to Vince, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, local football here in LA is over the last few years has been fabulous. I mean, we've seen particularly the Rams go all in. We've seen the immersion of a special young quarterback on the other team over there with the Chargers. Regardless of who's coaching them, they're playing well over there with him. And I'm thinking to myself now, what happened this past weekend? One person that I want to hear their opinion about the team that Vince and I played on. You know, Vince and I love the Rams. We still bleed blue and gold, but we know that you do too. But you tell it like it is when you say.
So I got a question, because I am a very disgruntled Rams fan. What is going on? Do they not care? Do they only want one Super Bowl and go, we're done for 20 more years till we win another one in 2040?
Well, what are they doing? Which aspect of the Rams game would make you ask that question? What is it?
Well, let's start out with the quarterback. What's he doing? I mean, how long? This may be rude, but how long can you have a concussion?
Well, Dave, look, last week they played one of the top teams, Kansas City Chiefs. All right?
Let me interrupt you. Dave, first of all, he does not have a concussion. He's in.
Well, what does he have?
He's in concussion protocol. But what he has is usually when you have a concussion, you go into concussion protocol. But Coach McVay said that he does not have a concussion. He has something going on with his neck and some tingling on the leg.
But wait, Jackie, in this time of the season, don't you always have some nicks and bruises and pains and ailments going on? You got to really like suck it up, don't you? You have to. You work through it. Look at Josh Allen. He got a busted elbow and he's playing.
Now he's not playing as good as he was at the beginning of the season, but they're still winning. Yeah. He's playing.
Well, also you have Aaron Rodgers with a broken thumb, has been playing the last few weeks. I mean, he was almost annihilated. He couldn't come back. He couldn't do anything to further the game last weekend. So they finally had to get him out, and they put Jordan Love in there.
Of course. And then, of course, what does Jordan Love do? He goes and throws a 70-yard touchdown pass to Christian Watson and screws up my whole fantasy league.
Well, the other thing. Wait a minute now. The other thing that we might want to consider. The other thing we might want to consider with the Ram quarterback is, Coach McVay looks and say, hey, this guy is special in my opinion. That's why we've invested in him. We brought him here. We won a Super Bowl with him last year. But now, even though we'd like to think we have quality backups, now we don't have Cooper Kupp. We don't have the kid the second kid, the receiver that
right.
Allen Robinson,
the guy that was supposed to be able to jump up high and high point the ball. We don't have him. Our running game has been inconsistent, and our offensive line is struggling right now. Maybe this is just Sean McVay protecting his quarterback.
So my question is that now excuses? I mean, or I mean, have they just given up on the season, or do you, or do they still have? I mean, athletes want to win. Nobody wants to lose. So why aren't they stepping up?
Well, this is true, and Vince, I don't know how you feel about this, Vince, but you know, I was on a few losing teams over the years, Dave, at the Rams, and the thing that you have to do, and I think most organizations strive to get people who think this way. You cannot base your performance ever on the performance of people around you. I mean, the thing that I grew to understand with the teams that I played on, Vince, where we weren't playing that well, we weren't doing a good job. The thing that I grew to realize was that, you know, when things are broken, people will fix them. People are hired to fix the things that are broken. And when they go and look at that film on whoever the individuals are, you better make sure that they look at you and say, hey, let's go to the next guy because this guy is not broken. The man next to him might be broken, but this guy is not broken. And so if you're worth your salty sweat playing this game, you've got to understand that when the pressure is on a team, because of the loss of players like this, you better turn your game up a notch. You better turn it up.
And Jackie and Vince, these are professionals. They're paid to do this. You would think, I don't know, they're still the best. Even I always tell people that say, you know, whoever's the last place team, they suck. They still have the 32nd best player in the world on their team. So they're all good. They're all capable of doing this.
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
At some point, Dave, are you looking out for your investment as a commodity, or you're looking out for the team? Because you know, at this point, if you're a captain of the team, the captain must go down with the sinking ship. Okay, you have to
wait
play.
Wait a minute. Is the ship sinking?
Well, is it? It might be sunk by now.
Come on, go down with this.
Well, I mean, you know, but Jackie, what are you going to do? You got to get in there and you got to work it through. You got to just help your team win. I mean, what are they going to look at next year? I mean, you can't cop out. You have to get in there, and maybe, in fact, maybe there is an ailment that's really restricting him from playing, Jackie. I don't know, because if it's concussion related, then possibly that could be a problem. But if it isn't, well, I have to say you have to get in there and play.
I mean, but this one to me is an epic flop. I believe I heard that no Super Bowl team has ever had gone 3-8 the next season. Like this is the first time this has happened.
Is that right? Well, I mean,
you know,
Dave, you said something when you first came on the show. You said that the Rams were all in a year ago on this, winning the first ever Super Bowl hosted, played at SoFi, and that's a major accomplishment. There's no doubt about it. The organization will forever be able to say, "Hey, listen, our owner allowed us to assemble the talent necessary to go to the Super Bowl. He allowed it in an unusual fashion that we did it, and then we brought in some unique talent to help us get there in the first year of the stadium that he was responsible for building, and we got it done. Now the chips have to fall where they may. You lost Von Miller. You've had injuries to Cooper Kupp. You've had injuries to your offensive line has just been decimated and been very inconsistent. And then you haven't been able to run the football. So you've been inconsistent. You've had turbulence with your running backs. There's a lot of things going on for a lot of different reasons. And maybe we need to be patient as they go about rebuilding this thing.
Yeah. Well, however, you have someone like Jalen Ramsey, who was highly paid and insanely good. And just couldn't match with Travis Kelce this weekend.
Well, Dave, I've always been saying this and as far as the passing game is concerned, you have one of the best tight ends in football in Tracy Kelce. So you're going to put your best defensive back against him one-on-one. There's no player in the NFL that can cover a good receiver one-on-one. There's nobody. You have to double him. We said that the week before. Derwin James. No, Derwin James tried to cover Kelce the week before. He beat him for the go-ahead.
You don't come. Wait a minute, Vince. You can't compare Derwin James. You can't compare Derwin James.
Let me finish. I'm just telling you.
Jalen Ramsey?
Well, Jalen Ramsey could not cover him either.
Jalen Ramsey is one of the best pure cover corners in the game. Well, that's why he's paid the way.
Why did they take Jalen Ramsey, put him on the tight end and not their wide receiver? I mean, they put him on the tight end because they thought this is where they're going to throw the football. You still can't cover him. My point is, it's very difficult with the way the rules are and the way the passing is done today, because you can throw a back shoulder throw with a guy on you. He's point blank covered you just perfectly, and they can still complete the pass. So you have to double a receiver if you think the ball's going to him. That's the only way you can do it.
Well, there's a lot of merit to what you just said, Vince. And we've been saying that for the last 2 or 3 years. We watched Cooper Kupp get in the red zone, and he's running past people, and he's not the fastest guy in the league. And we always wonder, why the heck would you go into the red zone and not cover Cooper Kupp?
Well, he's the only guy that I can think of, Jackie, that can probably beat a double coverage. Now that's something to be said. But
it looks like Mr. Kelce can beat a double coverage too.
Well, I don't know. You give your chance a way to win, Jackie, if you double cover that guy in that position. That was my take on it. But yeah, Dave, there's so many idiosyncrasies and things that have gone on with the play calling. But you know what? When you look at the Rams and you look at most of their offensive talent on offense is not in the lineup. Years ago, and even last year, when they need to get a player, they would want to go to the LA Rams and play for the Rams. Okay?
They did. Correct.
They would want to go. Do you know any players right now would want to go to LA and play for the Rams right now?
You mean this time of season?
If they want to grab a player or trade for a player.
You mean this time of season under these circumstances? Yes. This time of season under these circumstances, right. I don't care who you are, you probably don't want to come to Los Angeles.
Okay. All right. And that wasn't the way it was last year.
No.
Okay. So something's
going
on.
Or even 2 years ago or 3 years ago. You know, when they got Dominican Sue to come over, they got everybody to come over.
Yeah.
And now they couldn't get anybody.
Well, I don't have a defense for any of that. I mean, it's sickening, Vince, to me as I look at it, because you know, I'm thinking, how can you go from the zenith of success?
Well, Dave made a good point. He talked about Dominican Sue.
Okay,
he's with Philadelphia. You know who else is with Philadelphia? Vance Joseph. Remember Vance? Yes. How great he was with Minnesota.
Yes.
He's with Philadelphia.
Yes.
Why are all those
Linval Joseph.
Mm-hmm. Why are they all going to Philadelphia?
They're signing him, and I got a feeling they're not.
Maybe Nick Sirianni's got something going on.
They can't be getting max dollars either, Vince, of what they're accustomed to making.
Yeah,
they're going there, in my opinion, now to win a championship. They have a
because they have the bones to win that championship. Philadelphia is insane. I mean, they're going to go. I thought they were going to go 16-0. I can't believe they lost to the Redskins. The Commanders, whoever they are now.
Right.
But I still think they're going to go 15-1. I mean, they're just so good.
How many yards rushing did they have the other day,
Jackie? They had 363 yards rushing
in that
game.
And the quarterback
had 100 yards himself in the first quarter.
Chris
Collinsworth said during that game, he says, if this continues on this course, the Philadelphia Eagles will have over 800 yards rushing in this game.
And Miles Sanders was on fire.
Packers,
they were on fire.
Can't you stop the run at some point? I mean, if you can't stop the run, you can't win. There's no way you can win.
Yeah, their quarterback, Vince, in Philly. I wondered about him when he came there. I wondered if he was going to be, running all over the place and everything. But when you look at this guy, he's really not as athletic as the kid in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson.
Right.
There's no way you can't compare him to Kyler Murray. This guy's not as dynamic, but he rushed for 100 yards in the first quarter. Now, the thing that's been impressive to me about this young man is the way he's conducted himself in the pocket. Most of the guys that are taking off with the football, they take off after their first or second read, is covered.
Right.
And then here they go. This guy reads all the way across the field, back across the field, and if he has to take off, he takes off. And the mere fact he had 100 yards in the first quarter tells you that he's making very good decisions as to when to take off. He's running when guys got their back to him.
Yeah, but a lot of his rushes, though, a lot of Hurts's rushes are also planned. I mean, it's a planned play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a design play. He's just, you know what he is? He's just so smart. He just adjusts on the fly, and they're winning.
Yes, there's no doubt.
Good points for you, Dave, because he does understand the game. He understands the philosophy of what he needs to do, and the coach has given him the latitude that of 3 or 4 or 5 plays out of the game, there's going to be an opportunity for you to tuck the ball and go. And so he looks to that, and if everybody's covered and it doesn't look safe, he's going to run it if there's an open alley to run. And they've been very productive doing that. You know, like I said, I don't know how many, he probably had 150 yards rushing in the game the other night, but they had 363 yards.
And let's just think about, one of the things I used to ask Leroy Irvin and Jerry Gray and some of the best pure cover cornerbacks that I played with during my career, what are you looking at? And they talk about covering the receivers and playing this technique. But when they know that quarterback is a guy that can see them with their backs to him, and then all of a sudden he's 10 yards away from him and 20 yards down the field, these guys, the cover guys now can't get locked in on what they really want to do to cover these dynamic receivers, because they got to realize that I'm covering this guy, but the quarterback's right here. I got to drop the coverage and go make a tackle. Yeah. It just really complicates things for defense, particularly in the secondary. And to have a quarterback like this, it gives a team an unusual advantage, in my opinion.
Well, that threat of running the football and throwing it, if you're a dual threat, you're obviously a lot better off on offense. But Dave, you also have some takes on the on college football too. I know you're a big UT fan, but
I do. USC is going to make it into the playoffs probably.
Let me ask you a question. I want to ask you a question since you bring up USC. Is Caleb Williams, in your opinion, one of the top guys, if not the top guy, for the Heisman Trophy?
Well, you know what, Jackie? It's funny you asked that. So at this week, yes, he is. The thing with this year's Heisman race is it has changed every week. Hendon Hooker, I think, has had the best season of anyone, but now he's injured and he's out.
Yes, obviously he's going to say that.
It is not because
he has a great
University of Tennessee. It's because he went from zero to doing things that nobody ever expected. Nobody planned this. Nobody thought this was going to happen, and it was all because of him. And in the old days, you think of somebody like George Washington Rodgers or some of these other Heisman winners. They could have a bad game and still be the best player. You can't do that anymore. With media nowadays, you can't do that anymore. You look how many people have been at the top of the list this year. Hendon Hooker's been there. C.J. Stroud has been there. Drake May has been there.
Bo Nix. They probably even talked about Bo Nix too.
Bo Nix, and then they have one bad game, and suddenly they no longer know how to play football.
Right.
I still think a body of work based on the competition, because USC, let's just face it, they until the last 2 weeks they really hadn't played anybody. But competition-wise, against the competition, Hendon Hooker did more this year than anyone else. He's not going to win the Heisman Trophy because he went down against South Carolina. He didn't play against Vanderbilt. Now he's injured, so he's not going to win it. He's not even in the running anymore. But look at what Drake May was doing at North Carolina. Then he has 2 bad games. So right now, Caleb Williams is shining, and Jack, you're right. He is probably going to win the Heisman Trophy.
And he's peaking and playing his best at the right time.
Well, I can tell you from the quarterback perspective, Dave and Jackie, that I think that Caleb Williams is the standout of the class. And what he's able to deliver for his team at SC to revive that entire program, his excitement, the guys around him, Dave, he makes everybody play, and he's a great player. He's a great team player, and he can throw it, he can run it. He understands the game. He's like a coach on the field. I've never seen like a quarterback.
Yeah, my problem, as I've told you, is that every other program has built it from ground up USC just went out and bought it, and because but they have the means to.
Transfer
But
portal.
because they have the
Transfer
because
portal.
they have the
Everybody's
means
doing
to-
that. You can say that about Deion Sanders at Jackson State.
Yeah, what's going on with Deion, Jackie?
By the way, Deion Sanders is not going to be at Jackson State much longer. He's already been offered the Colorado job, and he's waiting for Florida State. And that man is going to shine as a coach. He's amazing.
What do you think?
He's amazing.
Bakhtari, I think he's the highest paid offensive lineman in all of pro football, the left tackle with the Green Bay Packers. He went to the University of Colorado. He and Dimwitty, I think his name is, two of the top players from the University of Colorado, has endorsed, threw up their hand with a big amen to bring Deion Sanders to the University of Colorado. So I know the people in Jackson, Mississippi are going to be terribly disappointed because he's brought an awful lot of enthusiasm. He's got the fans involved. They're singing.
But
he has got the charisma. He has charisma, okay?
He really does.
Can really do it.
Yeah, they can't hold on to him. He's too big to stay in Jackson, Mississippi.
Well, this is the thing. A lot of people are disappointed because he's even entertaining offers. And actually there's been conversation about him during these last couple of years of entertaining offers. At the end of his second year, he was entertaining offers. But the thing that I have to respect about Deion Sanders is that he has said from the very start, he said, if things come up, I'm going to listen and I'm going to talk to people. I mean, he's been honest. He's told us, if the opportunity comes up, and that's what America is all about. I think
100%.
In any
100%.
field that you're in, you're always looking to do better. That's what we're all about here.
Well, Dave, we really appreciate your call.
Well,
I mean, this is always fun.
Thank you, guys.
And
we'll do it next week.
We'll have to resume again next week. And see
Thanks a lot, Dave. We really appreciate you, my friend.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dave.
How about Dave?
Well, Dave is so special. I'm telling you what, he really understands the game like it is, Jackie. I mean, he watches. He's a big fan, but he's like I said, big college fan. University of Tennessee came from, and he was a swimmer in college.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's what he told me. Yeah, he was a swimmer, and that was his sport. And, so I have to give him a lot of credit because he's pretty knowledgeable in football.
Very knowledgeable.
And he loves that fantasy football.
And he will ask you the tough questions.
Yeah.
I mean, basically the guy was asking us if we thought the Rams were tanking.
Yeah.
If they were if McVay was throwing in the towel because of the injuries and all of this by not playing his quarterback.
Nobody will ever know, I don't think, Jackie. What the Rams are thinking.
Nobody, you say, Vince, you say that. You say that, Vince, but I think we have to consider, Sean McVay. We got to consider this guy, man. Yeah. This guy, since he's been with the Rams, he's been winning football games. And the type of people that he has brought in, he has boasted over and over and over about the type of people that he has brought in. He said, we got the right people with the right mentality in that locker room.
Right.
And that's what he's banking on. He's banking on the character of the players that he has recruited to do the right things, to continue to win football games like they always have, even when circumstances were bad in the past. So, you got to give him some credit. It's unfortunate right now that he's got so many things collapsing all around him. I mean, this all season long, he's played with how many different offensive lines?
Well, Jackie, when you look at his coaching, his coaching career, I mean, he's been very productive. He's one of the great young coaches that are in the NFL today. But you only can coach what you have to coach. And now their team, as Jimmy Johnson said earlier in the season, they're top heavy. All their top players are nicked and bruised and out of the lineup. I mean, you've got Aaron Donald now as a high ankle sprain. You have Matt Stafford's out of the game. You have Cooper Kupp's gone. You don't have some of the players they had to let go.
You lost your center. You lost your center early. You lost your right guard. You lost your left guard. You had to move your right guard to your left tackle.
I mean,
there's a ton.
Where's the talent? I mean,
there's a ton of things. Now, one of the things that you have to wonder about a little bit is, with the offensive line going through these injuries, you have to anticipate, because I keep mentioning this. You remember in the year the Rams went to the Super Bowl, where you led us to the Super Bowl, we had a bunch of combinations on the offensive line. We finished 9-7, but we only had two guys all season long to play every game, myself and Rich Saul. We were all kinds of guys in and out of lineup. So, when you think about the possibility of having that many injuries at a position like the offensive line, the thing that has to happen, and Cromer Cromer, their old offensive line coach, was fantastic at doing this. Hudson Houck was the best that I've ever seen at doing it because he did it for 9 years at the Rams, and then he did it for 9 years at the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. Is he builds depth into his offensive line. He understands the makeup of the position. He wants an offensive tackle with long arms and rangy when it's set. He wants a guard that's compacted and explosive in the box. And he
it's a cohesive group.
Yeah, it's a cohesive group. But Vince, they're trained and skilled with the skills they need to play the critical positions that they would start at, and then to move into those backup positions where they could go and be just as effective. They might not want to be there, but because of the way they're built, because of their mentality, you can put them in there and they can be just as effective and efficient. And that's the kind of thing I think the really good line coaches are capable of doing. And then the management people has to have, I mean, take a look at the Chargers. This is the second year in a row for the Chargers that Tom Telesco, the general manager, has started a rookie offensive left tackle.
And who is that guy? That guy is like humongous.
The first guy's name was Slater, and he was a first-round pick, and he was a Pro Bowler in his rookie year.
Yeah.
Now, he gets hurt. I think he tore a tricep or something like that. Now they bring in Sawyer. Now, Sawyer was 150-something pick in the draft out of the University of Georgia, and he has stepped right. He was drafted as a guard tackle. He has stepped right in at left tackle with Slater being out and have not missed a beat.
I know.
That's player acquisition right there, Vince.
Well, that's scouting. That's recognizing good talent when you need it, and you need to have depth on every team, Jackie.
Absolutely.
And, you step right in. That's the quality of a really good team when they can step in, and you don't notice that they're starting players out.
One other point, Vince. Drafting also. Yeah. They have 2 rookies in the last 2 years at the Chargers. They've had 3 rookies make major contributions to their offensive line. They drafted their right guard, was a first-round draft choice this past. He is a rookie playing right guard for them, a first-round pick. So it seems like to me, you got to do a fantastic job, and they're doing a fantastic job over there at the Chargers right now of not only teaching these guys, but spending the draft capital on the guys that are going to be pillars of their football team for a number of years.
You look at the Chargers and you look at the Rams, and where's their investment? So you have to invest for the future, Jackie. It's now is important to get the job done, but you also have to look, am I sustainable for years to come?
Right.
And so, when you build the team, you have to build that nucleus of talent, and hopefully you can keep that together for a good number of years.
Absolutely.
But anyway, hopefully we'll have another caller come in, Jackie. I think there's someone else wants to call in. Maybe we'll take a quick break here.
Well, wait a minute, Vince. But one of the things that we need to do, and I know there are a lot of people that are listening to us out there, and just like Dave Burson, who calls in, got a lot of comments about some of these subjects that we're having here. So what I want to do is I want to invite our listeners to participate.
Replay. On replay, you can
call in and ask us questions and let us know what your thoughts are on some of these critical subjects that we're having here. So I'm looking forward to get some.
That'd be good,
because I got a feeling that there are a lot of Dave Burstons out there who are just sitting there agreeing with him about a lot of things. And I'd like to see those people pick up the phone or, get on there.
We look forward to their comments.
Blast us out a message so we can hear what they think.
We'll look forward to your comments. Hope to hear from you soon. We'll be right back on OnPoint Live with Vince and Jackie. Stay tuned. Well, welcome back to On Point Live with Vince and Jackie, and we've been have a lot of discussions here about the NFL, what's going on, and we want to pursue that. We have another caller coming in just a moment, Jackie, but we want to encourage our callers to make comments, to go back to the replay. What do you think they should do? How do they
first of all, we're delighted to be able to do this, and then we find out that there's so many fans like Dave that likes to call in. He was a football fanatic and an athlete himself. So what we want is for as many of you guys who have any comment, because you'd be surprised at some of the comments.
How about a thumbs up comment?
A thumbs up that we're doing a good job is always welcome, but you'd be surprised at the knowledge that the people who are listening to our show have. And I just want to hear it. I like to hear it expressed, and because people are paying attention, and you would think that some of these people don't think like football minds, like people who played the game like you and I, but you'd be surprised at the people who think like we do, and even beyond in some cases. And we really want you guys to be a part of what we're doing, and look forward to hearing from you. So please,
they can call with any kind of comments they want, Jackie, not necessarily
positive or negative. We'll take it all.
Oh, we do have a caller coming in. Oh, we have a caller, and her name is Joan.
We got a call from Joan.
Hello, Joan. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you both. How are you two?
Hi, very
Hello,
good,
Miss
Joan.
How are you today?
We have Jackie on
I've
with
known
you.
you for a long time. Our children all went to St. James
Who
Grammar
is
School.
this?
Oh,
What
I
Joan?
know this,
What Joan is this? This is
This
Joan.
is
Joan.
This is
This is
Joan.
Joan, you're
Jackie
the 49er fan that always loved you.
Oh, she's a 49er fan, Jackie.
Yeah,
Watch out.
I know exactly
Watch
who
out
this is. Joan, thank you for calling in. How are you
Well,
today?
The last time I called in, you guys had been kicked out of a flag football game, so you've come a long way.
Flag football game. I remember that, Jackie.
You remember that?
Your wife was the first one to get kicked out.
Yeah,
then you were.
yeah.
And then I
you
said,
got kicked
and
out.
then I said the referee. I told him, ref, that's uncalled for, and he threw me out
He
just
threw
for
you
saying
out.
that.
And then
we still who won the game, Jackie?
we won.
We still won the game. Exactly.
I was the defensive coordinator, remember?
Yeah, well, and they kept scoring points all day long. They'd outscore our opponent.
Look how well Matthew's done ever since that early coaching by the two of you.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
He went on to be
really proud of him.
How many years has he been playing now, Jackie?
15 years. That's a long time to do what he does. He has a lot of car
He's been to more Pro Bowls than you have.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And more Super Bowl.
Yeah,
more Super, obviously.
Quite a few more Super
more
Bowls,
rings.
quite a few more Super Bowls, quite a few more Pro Bowls, and just having a really good time doing what he's doing.
So
and,
I know Joan's got some questions for us, Jackie.
Yeah, Joan, you got some
You
good
got
questions?
a question for us, Jack?
Well, as you know, I love the NFL and I watch it rather religiously because it's certainly more entertaining than watching the news these days. But and I have the NFL package. I love all football.
Wow,
But
the Sunday, you got the Sunday ticket.
Yeah.
I do have the Sunday ticket because I'm a big 49er fan. That way I can watch all my games at my house
Ah.
without go to some undisclosed location that might show it. But I always look at, the Rams and the 49ers are always big competitors. And I kind of look at the difference of the teams. And I have a lot of history with the 49ers. My dad used to travel with the 49ers. The president of the 49ers drove me to school and grammar school. So we've had close relationship with the team. And but I look at the teams and like what the difference is. It seems to me like the Rams, they put all their money into 4 players. And then there's not enough for any other players. Where if you look at the 49ers, somehow they always seem to find these players in the 5th round. They're not paying enough. And that the salary cap to get those younger players, and as they're about to get the big payday, they find.
John, can you hold on just for 1 second because you're breaking up?
Okay.
Technically, we need to fix this because I want to hear what John is saying. Can we? Is there anything we do here?
Okay, so
Okay,
I've
is that
got
better?
most of-
Is that better, Jones? Let me hear
How
you.
does that sound? I can hear you fine.
Okay, good.
Okay, go ahead, Joan.
It seems though like the 49ers, as far as the salary cap go, they're able to find these players like in the later rounds that end up being great players. Like even Debo Samuel, who's a star now, he was a 2nd or 3rd round player. We've got George Kittle who came in the 5th round, and they seem to find these guys lower in the ranks, and so they seem to stockpile players better than the Rams do, for example. And it seems like whenever they have an injury, they can find somebody that can fill in who's not been a top choice. And they always seem to find, like even this year, they had one of their top safeties, Emmanuel Mosley, go out, which was crushing to them. And they were able to bring in Ty Gibson, who was, and he didn't have a home. He's a veteran. He came in, and now he's been tutoring Tahunga, who's one of our top safeties out of USC.
Yes.
Going to be a star. And the guy was after the game the other day, almost in tears, talking about how much he's learned from Gibson. And that's just invaluable. So I think they do a good job, and I think a lot of that has to do with, I think John Lynch is very smart, and he's a former player, and he somehow, I think that team's got his name written all over it. The kind of, and they also have a good culture there. Where I noticed when the 49ers play the Rams, like this happened a couple of times. The Rams go down in the game, and all of a sudden you look over and there's Jalen Ramsey getting in a fist fight with some player. And one of the players for the 49ers, it was like they almost were waving the white flag at that point when when that happens. Wow. So I don't know if it's not the culture isn't so great where the culture up north is, but there's something not right there.
Well,
Joan, you raise a lot of good points.
Very interesting observations, would you say?
Well, I tell you, when you have an avid fan who's been very close to the team for so many years, I mean, they really understand the philosophy and who they have at the helm. And John Lynch, you mentioned, and Kyle Shanahan, they're on the same page, Jackie. And these two teams are built differently. The Rams were built basically, as Joan said, acquisition of high-priced trade commodities. They bring these players in. They got Jalen Ramsey. They got Matthew Stafford. Aaron Donald was a draft pick that they were able to produce.
So was Cooper Kupp.
Kupp was one as well. But then after that, then the quality of the draft is quite immeasurable as far as, not being able to have adequate talent that players could step in and then just take up the slack. So I have to give a lot of credit to the 49ers, and they're built on the offense and defensive line, Jackie, and so much has been overlooked because the game is so people are enamored by how offensive production people, how wide open offenses are, but they forget, they neglect the protection and the basic fundamentals about pass blocking, run blocking, defensive pass rush, defensive line to stop the run.
Playing football at the line of scrimmage.
And they're both built differently. So, there is a big difference, a disparity between both those teams. And you look at now, the 49ers are on a four-game win streak, Jackie, and they're starting to turn around. And despite, when I looked at their season to begin with, Joan, I saw their quarterback wasn't even on the team. They were wanting to let Jimmy go. And so now
that's right.
He's back, leading the team to some of the best football they've played in recent years. So,
the players love him.
They do. And that makes a big difference. And so I don't know, they drafted the kid from North Dakota State, and he just hasn't panned out. He was hurt early on, and I just, when you look at that, you kind of wonder, but they've made it up in different areas, different other positions that they've been so good at.
It is really interesting to me that Joan would point out something that I've always maintained simply from experience. And I said this before. The year before I got to the Rams, Vance, the Rams had 3 first-round draft choices. Mm-hmm. They drafted Mike Fanning out of Notre Dame with the first of those 3. They drafted Dennis Harris out of the University of Miami with the second of those 3, and then Doug France out of Ohio State with the third of those 3. Now, that's 3 first-round draft choices. And you and I, you came the year after me. We played with those guys. Those guys were the backbone of our football team for a number of years. And the idea of throwing picks away was not something that was going to happen with the Rams organization. Now, I can understand when we look at what the Rams did a year ago and the people that they brought in and how that pushed them over the edge to win the Super Bowl, then we're going to all clap our hands and commend the Rams for that. And we were excited about it. But now, that we're looking at guys who they're expected to be in there playing, expected to do a good job when they simply don't have the skill, they simply don't have the experience. they have the right attitude, obviously, because they want to make sure. McVay talks about it all the time. We've got the right people in this room, and they've got that. But for whatever reason now, Vince, for whatever reason, those guys are not delivering, at the level. Because think about Deebo Samuel. She just mentioned Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel is a wide receiver.
Yeah.
But I got to believe that at least 50% of his touches or somewhere in the backfield where they're handing him the football.
He's like a
How
running
many
back.
wide receivers
Versatility,
are you
Jackie. Look at, for example, let me just say this to Joan. They traded for Christian McCaffrey.
Right. Oh my
Look,
goodness.
he came in, Jackie. He threw a touchdown. He ran for a touchdown,
and he caught one. Unbelievable.
Okay, there's versatility, and that has to do with
and
coaching.
that happened in less than 9 days of him being in a pretty wouldn't you say that's a pretty sophisticated and complicated system that they're running there?
But again, and Joan mentioned, they like Jimmy Garoppolo. Hey, he was accepted right away. I mean, the way you just perform and the way you practice and your work ethic, it's just like you have what should I say? It's contagious to the team.
Yes.
Jackie. And so that's the way they play. They play like that, and that's how they get after the Rams, Joe.
And I'm disappointed, Miss Scott. Miss Joan is Miss Joan, right?
Yes, Miss Joan.
Miss Joan, I appreciate you bringing this up, but if you know me, I hate the 49ers with a passion, right? You know that.
On the radio and the TV saying that.
I hate the 49ers with a passion because because of the 49ers, I have had too many opportunities to go to Super Bowls just taken right away from me and everything. But, when I look at the 49er football, their organization, and I look at John Lynch, and I see John Lynch put together a football team. This is what I'm reminded of, Ms. Scott. You were talking about your lineage and your connection with the 49ers over the years, how your dad worked with them, and how the guy was one of the administrators was taking you to work now. But you think about the 49ers right now. Think about them right now. They have the head coach. His dad won 2 Super Bowls. John Lynch, the general manager, played on one of those Super Bowls and played for his dad.
That's right.
The gentleman that was the head coach of the Chargers is now one of the run game coordinators at San Francisco, and he played for his dad when they won the Super Bowl.
That's right. It's like
just
a family.
It's like so much continuity and greatness and excellence in that organization from so many different places that it's hard to imagine them not having any success, Vince.
Oh yeah.
It really is.
And look at the coaches that have left the 49ers under Kyle and are doing well. You got Robert Saleh for the Jets, and of course you got Mike McDaniels in Miami.
Right.
You're right.
I mean,
same with Sean McVay. And Sean McVay's grandfather was with the 49ers with the Bill Walsh system.
Absolutely. That's where he cut his teeth out of there.
Really, there's a lot of connection there between the two. But both coaches have really produced a lot of assistant coaches that have gone on to become really good coaches in the NFL.
And I think Kyle learned all from his dad, and he talks to his dad on a daily basis.
I gotta believe that guy is on staff as a consultant up there.
Yeah, me too.
Would you not have your dad, Super Bowl winning head coach, on staff as a consultant somehow?
Well, my dad would have showed up even if he wasn't. And you both know
your dad was great.
That's
Your
right.
dad was great. Well, we really appreciate your calling in, Joan. Thank you so much.
Thank you
I
so
hope to
much.
have you back on as a guest again.
Happy holidays.
I think the networks or the Rams made a big mistake by not having you on the post game, because you guys did a great job, and that was a mistake.
Oh, well, thank you so much. But let me correct you.
Thanks,
it wasn't the Rams that we were working for. We were working for Fox Sports Local here.
Okay, well, then they're stupid.
Thank you, Joan, so much.
Joan. Have a good one.
And you'll have to visit with us again, Joan, down the road, okay?
All right, Jackie. Well, you know what? There's so
that?
many fans that really love football and that watch it they just adamantly, they just watch it each and every week, and she's such a big 49er fan for many years.
And did you hear all the detail that she had been paying attention to?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
she knows her football.
You simply wouldn't think that a mom raising children would have the time to be sitting and paying attention to that much detail.
I know
about how a professional football team is conducting its business.
She should be working for the organization.
she should be, man. She was off the charts.
Yeah, I'll tell you,
it was amazing.
John
and that's
Lynch,
what we
she
want.
knew everybody. She knew what rounds guys were drafted, and so
and Vince, that, you know what? But the two callers we had today, I don't think they're typical. I think there are many people that are like them. I think there are many people that watch pro sports, in particular football, the number one game in our country, and they have opinions about it. That's the reason why I was saying.
It's good.
That's the reason why I was saying I really do hope that the people that are listening to us on this show as we do this work, and you and I are having fun. We ain't making a ton of money in doing what we're doing, but we're having a good time, Vince.
Right.
We're talking about something that we love and everything, and that gave our lives to for the most part over the years.
And it's more fun to interact with the fans.
Absolutely. That was the fun thing today, was to have a couple of people call in, and I'm looking forward to looking at the comment section on our show to see some of the comments that we can get, because that's going to fuel. I think that's going to fuel you and I to do even a better job at what we're doing.
Well, Jackie, it's a lot of fun, talking about football, talking about different things. We haven't even got into food and wine and all the other great stuff.
Goodness.
But you know what?
I'm gaining weight just thinking about food and wine with you, man.
As we get ready to wrap things up, we want to make sure the viewers stay tuned to watch this show each and every week. It's live streaming. You can pick us up on any of your social media outlets, and so keep watching us from week to week. We'll always be commenting on the NFL, the Rams. Hopefully the Rams can turn it around, stop this losing streak. And the Chargers, Jackie, come off a big win against Arizona last week, going for a 2-point play to hit Gerald Everett, the ex-Ram. It was a beautiful play, good call. And so we hope they continue to expand their offense, and hope the Chargers will continue to impress.
You know who I'm impressed with, really impressed with? Austin Eckler.
He's tremendous.
He can't weigh 200 pounds, and he scored 12 touchdowns this season.
He's amazing.
Both running and catching with the football. I'm looking forward to continuing to watch the special season that he's having.
So we all encourage you to stay tuned, keep watching, keep following the local teams, and keep fighting on. For more, watch us again next week on OnPoint live stream with Vince and Jackie. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh.
You guys went from